All right, everyone, let's do a quick little check-in on where we're at for the survey for age 99. See if it matches up what I think about personally in terms of strength. We'll go from there. First off, people really, really, really like health. So I suppose it's easy to see why. You're looking at free towers, especially as Elf Mystic. Elf Mystic's got to run 0 towers, 100% guilds. So during war, you're pumping a lot of free wizards. When you're pumping wizards in End of War Ceasefire or Out of War, you're building a lot of runes for your team. It's just a nice all around bonus. In war, it's only really giving you like 10% free land. So keep that in mind. 20% spell duration, of course, that's good. Doesn't help you farm honor, though. Just means that, your spells last longer. It's very nice, but Blizzard, very good spell. You want access to it, of course, but not everyone needs access to it. Chastity, you do need a fair number of Chastity casters to keep it up. I'll give you that. Illuminate Shadows, very big spell for casters to defend against rogues. So I'll grant you that that's very helpful. And Mage's Fury, so their offensive magic output is higher than Fairy, and they pump a lot easier with the pure D spec. So, does it warrant that? I don't know. You see, they're not being picked particularly often as rogue. In fact, rogues overall are not very high. You got 60 halfling rogues, that's a modest amount. 35 gnome rogues, modest amount. 27 elf rogues, and just split, 10, 20 here and there. And heretics, there's just very few heretics on the server. Only beaten out by war hero. So I think this is just because people see Rev on Mystic and Rogue and go, well, why would I want to be a heretic? And I think that's pretty fair. You're looking at having a million less books end of age, and that's going to be a pain in the ass. So the thing is, end of age, a heretic, they're still going to have way more arcane science than any core. So they're not going to struggle at punishing core, but are they just going to feel weak against, mystics and rogues? I suppose maybe, but I don't think they're going to be particularly weak. I don't know. Seems a little odd to me that the heretic numbers are so low. An elf mystic, just everyone is playing elf mystic, but an elf mystic only does so much. It holds peasants, casts meteor showers on Blizzard and Chastity on you, and then it starts fireballing you. I don't know. That doesn't really win every war on its own, but we'll see. And if you want to run them hybrid, that's a really expensive elite. You're not going to be able to afford that many, so you're going to have to be supplementing O specs on your elf if you want to be hybrid, and it's just not the most amazing military. You go to Fairy. Nobody's picking Fairy at all. Least picked by far. Are people scared of the home's capacity? Are they just scared of the elite? Are they scared of the O spec? I'm not sure. To me, Fairy has everything. It's got the most defense, and it's got TPA and WPA, an economic spell, and a scaling instant spell. Fairy seems excellent. You go to Halfling. Halfling's interesting because a Halfling can actually do that elite convert game now. They can afford those elites. But are they going to have the pop space to get the defense to match Elf? And then on top of that, is invisibility going to be enough for them to scale? I don't know. Let's say it's mid-age and everyone's got, 30 pop per acre. And then you're running 30 homes. You're getting an extra 6% pop. That's 2 per acre. You got 17 elites per acre. versus 15 of elf. That's not how to do that. And you got more defense than an elf. That being said, an elf's going to have way higher than 15 D-specs per acre if they want it. But, we can see that, even if it's 18 times 12 versus 20 times. Even there, the defense is the same at that high end. So, Halfling is matching Elf for defense, absolutely. And they're getting there easier than Fairy, without a doubt. So, say 10% thief damage, 10% TPA, 20% thief losses. They still have that chastity. They have divine shield, so it's sort of like, Halfling comparing to elf? I think it's comparing to elf. Anyways, I think the TM game is very odd this age with so few fairy, so few halfling, so many elf. Because the elf are really not that good at going hybrid. They're really not that good at running some offense. At least not with that price. So, is what it is. And then we start looking at the core. Our most popular core is still Undead because people just can't help but pick it. But Undead's got some problems, man. That's some huge wages. That's a really expensive elite. I don't think the average person is dealing effectively with that. And if you've only got, half O-specs, half elites, that's a pretty weak pick. It's just like running a random dark elf paladin at that point. Now, wages go a long way. I mean, plague goes a long way. It's going to help you win? I don't know. I don't think so. So, this is your most picked core to deal with. Mostly warrior, so people are thinking, yeah, let's dodge that wage penalty best we can. And we have, what else do we have? We have a lot of avian warriors, and a lot of avians in general. That's the second most picked core. And avians are just going to struggle to break TMs, boys and girls. Like, they have the cheap elite, they'll get the elite, they'll come online way faster than everyone else. They'll crush other core, they're fast, they have enough offense to take out D-specs. But you run into a wall of elves, when we know where there's walls of elves, you are not going to be breaking people. So, even as a warrior, you're going to have struggles. If you just run into a wall of elf on Stalwart, you better have a backup plan for these avians. The rest of the avians are pretty split. There's actually a lot of avian sages. I don't know where that's coming from, if there's just one kingdom loading up on them or what. I think it's a fine pick. It was in my top few ideas for this age, just based on how last age went for warbirds. We had a lot of avians, we had a lot of science. Why not have a lot of avian sages? I think that's viable. I'm just surprised to see it. Nobody's picking tactician, and yet everyone's picking avian. See, that's the weirdest thing to me, because avian's the race that counters core, and tactician's the personality that cancels core. So if people are focusing on that, countering core aspect, why aren't they picking tactician? I'd argue there's a lot of races that as tact can compete with avian. So, what tax do we have? We have some undead tax, dryad tax. That's my big pick of the age. Few avian tax for people who like speed, and that's it. And that's weird because, human, orc, dwarf, these are all going to be excellent tacticians. Like a dwarf tactician, like a dwarf can build to be anti-TM really well. They've got a lot of built-in anti-thievery mechanics. So if you give them a way to counter core, they can end up at a point where you've got like tanky dwarves against TMs that can't really break them, and that's a pretty good game for the dwarf. Obviously no gnomes, you can't stack the quick feet. Yeah, it's interesting. War Hero. Even less War Heroes than last age. War Hero is excellent. They buffed War Hero by 5% offense and defense. I don't know. Is it just that they seemingly buffed Warrior so much? Because they lowered Warrior offense 3% and just gave them minus 25% wages. Like, I don't know, guys. Is that really the game to play? Could be. Not a lot of artisans. All the artisans are still dwarf. Doesn't make any sense. Where are all the Dryad artisans? That's the hero pick of the day. You're going to be so scary as a Dryad artisan, but nobody seems to care. Nobody's picking Orc at all. I think that's just a mistake by the server. Orc offense is still really legit. They've got relatively cheap elites, because that's going to come down to 1700, 1650 or whatever. With Bloodlust mounted, that's more offense than anyone except for Dryad, right? Now, 16, 17.8 versus Dryad. Dryads aren't even going to want to run like stables once they have pure elite, so they're actually going to have lower offense than Orc. And then you have all the bonus kills on top of Orc, 15% stacking with 15%, stacking with 20% on defense, and draft benefits. I mean, science sucks and all, but, like, be real. It's really not that bad until the end of Age, and at the end of Age, Core already have such an advantage over TM for the most part. Maybe not next Age. So, nobody likes Orc. A lot of humans, but they're all sages. It's weird to me. It's like, Human Warrior is legit. Human Raider, okay, a lot of people are picking Human Raider, but so you're picking Dwarf Raider? No, they're picking Dryad Raider. That makes no sense. People should be picking Dwarf Raider, Gnome Raider, Human Raider. Oh, you have by far the most warriors, except they're all undead. I think that's just a mistake. Now, the question becomes, are a bunch of undead warriors that actually get their elites too strong? Well, maybe. I think an undead that adds, 1 or 2 extra D-specs is quite scary. But, that all there is to it? Maybe. Plenty of orc warriors. Half of orcs are warriors. That's nice, at least. Gnome warrior is excellent. I don't know why no one's picking that. Everyone's just picking gnome rogue for some reason. I mean, I could pick it too, but in terms of like core gnomes, we've got 11 warriors, 2 war heroes, 5 raiders, 6 paladins. That's all. People are missing out on gnome again. I might just have to pick them and laugh at everyone. A lot of avians. I think these avian warriors are going to be really successful. I think avian warrior just fares better than a lot of avians last age. There's a modest amount of Dryad. They're just so split up. There's Warrior, there's Tack, there's Raider, Paladin. Not sure why they are Paladins. I guess maybe to give Mist, and because of the economic book bonus. But really, these guys should be artisans. Crazy how few people are picking Fairy to me. Fairy is incredible. Fairy Rogue, best Rogue. Fairy Mystic, maybe not best Mystic, but I'd mix them with your Elf. Heretics, there's just no heretics. There's 50 fucking heretics on the server, so I'm gonna have to do something about that. I'm not sure what, but something. humans. I think humans are actually pretty strong, and I think their pick rate reflects how strong they are. I think they're almost on par with something like Avian and Undead and Dryad. I'm even a little bit surprised at how many dwarves there are. But people are for sure underpicking Gnome. Halfling? Halfling's interesting. I think they're just a bit too similar to Fairy right now. But I think Halfling can be pretty good. Um, but you know what? At the end of the day, I think their homes just got hit a bit too hard. And early age, they just sort of seem weak. People aren't used to having to train the elites on the halflings, so fair enough. Huh. Well, there you go. That's just me doing a quick rant on change picks. I think for the most part, the server shows that it's still incredibly bad at picking things on average, but no doubt there's kingdoms out there that are going to pick what's good and win with it. Oh, there you go.